Welcome to the session on Understanding Ease of Doing Business report and its implication, and as to how this particular report is important for the people who are dealing with business, as well as a common man and scholars, research scholars particularly, because this is a quite well researched report, and what kind of a research methodology they use and how this is useful in terms of comparing different other aspects of doing business and regulations. So in this presentation, I will be taking you through the Ease of Doing Business Report 2020, published by World Bank. Ease of Doing Business Report measures basically the business regulations and its ease towards doing business. And Doing Business Report 2020 is basically a World Bank flagship publication, and this is one of the renowned publications by World Bank, seventh in a series of annual studies, and actually it measures the regulations that enhances business activity in a particular country. About 190 economies are analyzed in this particular report. So it also provides you an opportunity to compare one country to another country on 12 areas of business regulation. That is what Doing Business Report covers. However, 10 areas are taken into consideration to include a score and a ranking on ease of doing business. So in a while, I will tell you about scores and ranking, how they are calculated. There are two parameters, that is regulation on employing workers and contracting with the government are not included in the score and ranking. However, those areas are also mentioned in the report. So this basically is in sum an overall overview of the Doing Business report. It is quite interesting to note that this Doing Business report employs about 48,000 professionals in 190 economies who have assisted in providing data and informing the doing business indicators. And ease of doing business basically focuses on effects of business regulation. And if you note the amount of work and research which has happened in this area, it is quite heartening to note that more than 4,000 articles using doing business data have been published in peer-reviewed academic journals, and more than 10,000 working papers have been posted online. And this data, I bring it from chapter 2 of the Doing Business report. And if you look at the reports, they have also helped in improving the firm entry regulation, which is associated ultimately with the higher productivity. It talks about better land property right improvement, which actually investment decisions are affected by the individuals. And quote efficiency is an important element which is talked about in Doing Business report, which plays a major role in the process of economic development. So it is very important report from the perspective of measuring economic development of a country and how business regulations are promoting that particular development. Now let us straight away come down to the report measurement parameters. And as I said to you, there are 10 parameters which are considered while measuring the score and ranking. And which are these parameters? If you look at these particular parameters, they can be arranged into 5 major categories. And it begins with starting a business. So you can have a look at this, starting a business, and how easy it is to start a business is something which is looked into. And another important one is labor market regulation. So these are the two things which comes under starting a business. The next one is getting a location. And this is one of the major factors for establishing a business. If you look at it, having a proper location, getting the infrastructure in place is something which is very, very important. And that is why the next parameters, that is dealing with construction permits, getting electricity, registering property. These are the 3 parameters which are considered important, and they are measured as to how it is easy for you to get a construction permit or getting an electricity or registering a property. Then accessing finance is another important element, and there how easy it is to get the credit and how there are less procedural hassles is considered into the getting credit portion. And then protecting minority investors is also very important, because that actually shows the rule of law and the mechanisms available for minority investors into the organization. Now, other than that, dealing with day-to-day operations, how the regulations promote trading across borders, what are the regulations relating to paying taxes, how contracts are enforced. These are the things which are considered further. And then operating in a secure business environment is something which is very important, wherein resolving insolvency and enforcing contracts come. So it is not only about starting a business, but it ends with closing a business, that how efficient it is to close a business rather than only concentrating on starting a business. So you can see that it has considered the all essential requirements of running a business from start to end. And that is what this report measures all about. Let us have a look at some more the research methodology part of it. So I've just give you this particular snapshot from the Doing Business report website. And you can see on each of these parameters, there are questionnaire instruments which has been utilized, and research papers in support of these each parameters have been referred to, as well as data sets are referred to. So I think this is the core for the people who want to do further research into these areas. It provides you a wealth of information, and this information can be utilized to further analyze, discuss. So these are all original data which is available here. It is quite heartening to know that this data is shared by World Bank for further researchers to research and do their work upon. So I encourage whosoever is watching this particular video to please go through them, these PDF, these associated papers, and maybe the original data as to how data is collected, and this can also loop into your research methodology paper which you may be studying, right? So kindly have a look at this particular link. I greatly encourage you people to do that. Let us move further and try to understand the Indian perspective of this ease of doing business. So as far as India is concerned, it is one of the economies, 190 economies of the Doing Business report. And you can see that India has steadily climbed in the India's doing business ranking over the years, particularly after coming up of the NDA government. So you can see in 2014, it was 142 was the ranking, and thereafter it has progressively increased. The ranking has increased, and the last report, it was 63. That is what you can have a look at it. Now, if you have a look at the best of the areas in which the improvements has happened compared to 2018 are dealing with construction permits. So there is a significant improvement in the business regulation of granting construction permits. And I think after coming up of RERA and all other initiatives and reforms which has been done in this area, the ranking has now reached at 27. So trading across border has also improved, and the major improvement which has happened in resolving insolvency, and that goes credit goes to the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India and the government's resolve to have a clear-cut insolvency regime in the country. And by way of coming up of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, this number has improved. I will briefly talk about each of these particular parameters so that you have an idea, and further I will direct you to the Ease of Doing Business report as well as the website. All links I have been provided. Kindly go through them for your further understanding, because I believe one parameter itself will take a 1-hour session if we are actually going into the details of the analysis which has been done in that particular parameter. In terms of the bad or the problematic areas, we can have a look at it is protecting minority investors, getting credit, and enforcing contracts. So these are the major areas in which there is a challenge. And I find that enforcing contract is something which is a biggest hurdle and the biggest problem. And that is because of the reason of number of pendencies, the matters not being heard very fast. So basically court administration. So it is reform in that area is clearly wanted. And I believe the Ministry of Law and Justice and Government of India is taking serious steps in this regard. Either it may be the coming up of the commercial courts are concerned, whether it is coming a digitization of the National Judicial Data Grid is concerned, and filling the vacancies are concerned. These are the areas which are being worked on. So if you have a look at the detailed parameter and the ranking which has been given in 2020 report, you can see that India DB rank is at 63 and the DB score is at 71.0. So this is what is the ranking parameter. So you can have a look at it. These are the two things. One is the rank and the other one is the DB score. So rank is out of the 190 countries as to where the country stands. It stands at 63rd number. So there are 62 countries better placed than India. That is what this report says. However, it is quite heartening to note that there are plenty of other countries which are behind us. So probably we are doing good in that area. In terms of the DB score, the greater the score, I think, is the better the position. That is what is being reflected here in this situation. So just have a look at this, topic scores as well as the ranks in individual parameters. So let us have a look at it. If you see, starting a business is at 136, still a lot to go. In this parameter, I will tell you there is a lot of reform which has happened in terms of starting the business. Now you can start the business in one day. There is a central registration committee, which a central registration office under the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So in fact, Ministry of Corporate Affairs has done a great job in reducing this particular number of days required for opening up of a business. Not only this, there are other things also involved while starting a business, and probably this rank requires a bit of a more push and reform. So that is why you can see that it is at 136. One of the greatest improvements which has happened in dealing with the construction permits, as I told you before, so it has got 27 rank. Getting electricity also reformed a lot, 22 rank. Registering a property is still at 154, but this is still a great improvement, as one can note. And getting credit is at 25. Probably this has increased previously. This has also improved. Sorry. And then protecting minority interest has probably increased. So that is where it used to be somewhere around 7 or 8. Probably this has increased. And reasons may be because now there are some provisions under the Companies Act which talks about the squeeze out provisions and all. Because of that, probably it has increased. And then paying taxes, 115. This has also improved because of GST and all. And then trading across borders has also improved. So there is a single window clearance. There is a department which has completely changed. And now there is a lot of assistance provided to foreign investment. So there is a clarity. That is where this improvement can be seen. Greatest area of work which India at present needs to do is on enforcing contracts. And I believe that is a major challenge and major area probably for the legal professionals as well, because if you are not able to provide a conducive environment for enforcing contract, I believe that is a challenge area to look for. And then resolving insolvency, yes, it has improved, and probably we all are waiting for the insolvency regime for the individuals to come in place, but there are some challenges around there, and that is why it is at 52. Probably if that comes into place, so this will further go down and the ranking will improve. So the major areas to work you can see here is enforcing contracts, registering property and paying taxes and starting a business, and then maybe resolving insolvency. So this is something which gives you a snapshot of the ranking which is India at present, and this also tells you the story as to which are the reform areas in which focus needs to be done, and why that is being decelerating. So these are the concentrating areas in which I feel the scholars should concentrate and find the reason, and maybe more papers can be written in the areas in which reforms are required. Now, let me briefly give you that what are the major parameters. If you look at them, you can see starting a business, what is the parameter on the basis of which it is measured, that how many procedures are there. If there are 10 procedures, 5 procedures, 1 procedure, how many days are taken, like what is the time taken to that, and what is the cost. So you can see these are the major points on the basis of which it is decided whether the starting business is conducive or it is problematic. Similarly, if you see dealing with construction permits, it is talking about procedure, time, and cost. And what is the building quality control index? So these are the different parameters which you can have a look at it. And majorly, they are talking about the time, the cost involved, and the number of procedures. So these are the three major areas, because the ease of doing business requires that you do all the compliances, but don't take too much of a time, because business people want the things to do get that faster. If you take 100 days to come up with a company, probably 100 days is a very big time to look for. So please see it from that perspective, that they are concentrating on procedures, time, cost. So this is a very important point to note here. So please have a look at these specific detailed ones. So if you see the detailed report, you will find that each of these things have been discussed in quite detail. From the country's perspective, you will note that where from the data is taken. That is another question which people ask. So for some countries, the data is taken only for one single specific business district. But for some around 10 countries, there are two business districts which are taken. For India, it is two business districts, and one is Mumbai and the other one is Delhi. So these are the two areas, two places where they have taken the data and information on the basis of which this ranking is arrived at. So detailed procedure, detailed research methodology, I have already provided you the guidance where to approach and where to find out. Now, what has happened over a period at that in 2015, the government of India took a call to have an action plan for state reforms in 2015. And state reforms are very important. You know, you cannot go ahead with reforms at the central level and leave the states like that, because if the states are not reforming, we are in a cooperative federalism, and it is very important to bring in a bit of a competition element between states as well to grow further, because otherwise then it is about getting largesse from the center and then going ahead, and it is very, very important. And recently the 13th the 15th Finance Commission has also given the report, and that report also talks about the improvement parameters of the states. So let us concentrate here on EODB ranking of the state. So if you see in 2015, there was an action plan which was presented. So this ranking is of 2019, if you look at on the EODB ranking, and you can see the states which have ranked. So on the topmost, it is Andhra Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Telangana, like this it is moving. And this is what is the rank of different states. Now, for the purpose of understanding as to whether how the states are placed, they are categorized further into top achievers, fast movers, and aspirers. So this is a very important thing which one should look at. And if you look by the data, you will find that the parameters which has been set, or the guidelines on the basis of which the EODB is decided, is basically there are 15 areas on which they are talking about, and there are about more than 301 reforms which has been talked about. So what I would let me talk about some of these areas. Like, say for example, first area is investment enabler. That what kind of an investment enabler the state is, how many processes are there, in how many, whether there is a single window clearance, so how the land administration and transfer of land and property takes place, how many days it takes, whether it is automated or not, how many days it is taken to change in land use, because if a business has to operate, maybe land use change is required. Environmental registration enablers, labor regulation enablers, obtaining utility permits, paying taxes, state excise. So these are the areas which is considered. And if you go deep dive into these guidelines, you will find that there are further reform areas mentioned. Like, say for example, if I talk about reform number 1, it says design and implementation an online wizard system for following features. That is where an investor can key in specific details and get the information regarding all state approvals applicable to establishing or starting an operation. So it is all about facilitating the business establishment and bringing the business to the state. So this is something which is talked about, and you can go to the website eodb.dipp.gov.in, where you will find these documents, and I encourage you to please have a look at these documents. That will be great learning for you. Now, let me talk about further and talk about another competitiveness index. This is not directly related to ease of doing business, but there is a body called World Economic Forum, an NGO, wherein there is you all know, Davos, the World Economic WEF meeting happens every year. They come up with this global competitiveness framework parameters and report. So this report considers basically 12 parameters, and it is more or less covering the areas which we saw in ease of doing business ranking. But this relates majorly to the framework of competitiveness, as to how competitive the market is. And you can see here there are four major areas in which the pillars are arranged. And first one is enabling environment. We saw in ease of doing business also the enabling environment. So institutions, infrastructure, ICT adoption, and macroeconomic stability. These are the four important elements to see that there is an enabling environment. Then we talk about human capital, because human capital is one of the important elements when you are talking about competitiveness, and their health and skills. This is skillful workers and their health. This is something which is very, very important. Health as a element, we all know, nobody can deny after this pandemic that health is a major focus area and everybody is now concentrating. And then the markets. So when you say about markets, there are product markets, there are labor market, there is a financial system which needs to be robust, that should work properly. Market size, as to what kind of a market size you are, because if you are a bigger market size, everybody wants to come to your market. And that has been one of the blessings for us as far as our country is concerned. And we have been talking about our market size, which is quite huge. So that actually helps the country and economy to grow. And then innovation ecosystem is something which has been talked about in global competitiveness framework parameters. And you can see here, they are talking about business dynamism, innovation capability. So how dynamic your business is, how dynamic your business professionals are, how quickly you can transform your logistics, how quickly you can transform your production system. This is something which is talked about. And then innovation capability, as to how much you can innovate, what is your IPR status, how you commercialize your IPR. All these elements come into picture for global competitiveness framework parameter. If you see India, where does the India stand on global competitiveness framework parameter? You will see that it is at 68th number. So out of 140 countries, you can see it is at 68th number. And probably this competitiveness has, you can see here, there are different elements on the basis of which you can see the ranking. So I just wanted to introduce you here. I don't want to deal with this global competitiveness index in detail, but do have a comparison with EODB and global competitiveness index parameters. It will be quite fun to watch these comparisons, and particularly when you are comparing with different other countries. Say, for example, you are comparing with China, you're comparing with Pakistan, or Bangladesh, or maybe US. So do that comparison. That will give you a quite interesting study. Read a bit detailed, in detail, a report, and particularly focus on research methodology. This is what I would request you all. And I hope you enjoyed the lecture, and it has it must have helped you. Looking forward to further sessions, maybe some detailed session on global competitiveness index next time. Thank you. Have a great day.